Evam parampara praptam.
Evam parampara praptam.
Evam paraparam praptam.
Evam parampara praptam.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Sakalehina mahata.
Sakalehina mahata.
Sakalehina marata.
Sakalehina mahata.
Yogunasta parantapa.
Yogunasta parantapa.
Yogunasta parantapa.
Yogunasta parantapa.
Evam parampara praptam.
Evam parampara praptam.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Sakalehina marata.
Sakalehina mahata.
Yogunasta parantapa.
Yogunasta parantapa.
Buddhist, please.
Evam parampara praptam.
Evam parampara praptam.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Sakaleneha mahata.
Sakaleneha mahata.
Yogunashta parantapa.
Yogunashta parantapa.
Evam parampara praptam.
Evam parampara praptam.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Imam rajasayo vidu.
Sakaleneha mahata.
Sakaleneha
mahata.
Yugam nashta parantapa.
Yogunashta parantapa.
Yes, better? No? Evam, thus, parampara, by disciplic succession,
By disciplic succession,
praptam, received, imam, this science, Raja Risaya, the saintly kings, Vidu, understood, Sa, that knowledge, Kalina, in the course of time, Iha, in this world, Mahata, great, Yoga, the science of one's relationship with the Supreme. Nasta, scattered. Parantapa, O Arjun, subduer of the enemies.
O Arjuna, subduer of the enemies.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Translation. The Supreme Science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Please repeat. The Supreme Science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken. And therefore, the science as it is appears to be lost. Purport. It is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment, also there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. The spirit is demonic, because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara, disciplic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity, but it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations. But if it is accepted as a treatise of physical speculations, it is simply a waste of time. Om Ayana Tibilandasya, Gyana Gyana Shalakaya, Saksu Sunitam Gyana, Taishma Shri Gurave Namaha, Sri Chaitanya Manopistam, Stampita Mina Bhutale, Svayam Rupa Kadamayam, Dadati Asata. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dinabando Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopedya Kanta, Radha Kanta Namaste, Tapta Kachana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavan, Vrishabhanu Sudevi, Pranamani Ramprani, Vanchakalpa Tarindasya, Kripa Sindhu Vyae Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, in the purport, is even Srila Prabhupada, very clearly at the beginning, or in the illustration, and in the purport, it is explained that the Bhagavad Gita was meant for saintly kings. So we understand, in our present situation, that saintly kings also means all leaders of society, including Président de la République, President of Republic, yes. It is interesting to see, if you have ever visited Srila Prabhupada's house in Vrindavan, in the museum, there is a little book note by Srila Prabhupada, his personal notebook, yes, in which there is a list of things, of matters, of items that Srila Prabhupada wanted to discuss with Indira Gandhi. And in the list there is protection of Brahmins, and protection of cows. So that is to say that Srila Prabhupada very, very seriously took the word of Sri Krishna, no doubt about this. And he wanted to explain the purpose of Bhagavad Gita to leaders of societies, including Indira Gandhi, who was the leader of India at that time. And we see that our Sankirtan devotees, preachers in ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they are very happy to give Bhagavad Gita to leaders of society. And we have one photograph, which was shown to me many times ago, in which we see Yasser Arafat, who was the leader of Palestinian cause in the 80s, who was taken in a photo, in a picture, with the Bhagavad Gita in his hand, and the president of Calcutta Temple at the time was preaching to him. Of course, to preach to leaders is one thing, yes, but to preach to the whole society altogether, not only leaders, it's also one thing, another thing. Because after all, as it is said in a song, we all have the same blood. Leader or not leader, we are all Krishna's children, and the message of Bhagavad Gita should be given to everyone. This is a mission for every devotee. So, this morning, when I thought about the verse I was going to try to explain for the class today, I was a little puzzled. I was wondering which kind of verse, which verse I would select, because there are so many verses which are famous in Bhagavad Gita. Many of the verses you know already, But still, although we may know them, literally speaking, still we have to realize, because to read is one thing, to understand the deep meaning is another thing, and to apply it into our life is again another thing. And sometimes it takes years before you really understand the meaning of one verse. So it is said in Bhagavad Gita that there is one very verse, which is the most important. Who knows which verse I'm talking about? Have you an idea, Prabhu?
Ça va dans Radha Parisisvara?
Aha. Any other? Yes, Mataji?
Vedascha sarve,
Vedascha salve rameva vedyo. Yeah.
Man manabhava man bhakto.
Yes. Yes, this is the one. Prabhu says, man mana bhava mad bhakto. This is the verse actually that you find 2 times in Bhagavad Gita, more or less. The very first time you find it is right in the middle of Bhagavad Gita. As you may know, Bhagavad Gita, as it is divided in 18 chapters. 18 chapters. So 9 plus 9 equal 18. Okay? So at the very end of chapter 9, that is to say right in the middle of Bhagavad Gita, so let's find it, Sri Krishna is giving what is supposed to be the most confidential knowledge of spiritual life and spiritual scriptures. And this verse reads as follows. Text 34, chapter 9. Man mana bhava mad bhakto, mad yaji mam namaskuru, mam evesyasi yukte evam, atmanam mam mat parayanaha. Translation: engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So, the very confidential knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is one must become a devotee of Krishna. So, but you could ask the question or raise the question, but why is this verse and not another one? So, in case we don't understand, because in the age of Kali we have a very slow brain, Krishna again says the same verse in chapter 18. It is to say at the very conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. And this is the verse 65 of chapter 18. Man mana bhava mad bhakto, mam yaji man mamaskru, mam evesyasi satyante, pratijane, priyo sine. Which comes exactly after, just before, this is very famous verse, Sarva dharma parijaja, mam ekam charan vraja, aham tvam sarva papibhyo, mokshaishyami masucha, which means, give up all varieties of religions and surrender unto me. Of all sins I will deliver you. Please do not fear. Which is supposed to be a very important verse in Bhagavad Gita. But verse 69 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita translates as, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. So exactly the same than before. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is the promise of Krishna, Krishna's promise to his pure devotee, Arjuna. So we are in the position of Arjuna, following in the footsteps of Arjuna, and therefore we are friends. we are friends in spiritual life, we are friends, we are trying to serve lotus feet of Arjuna, serving the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. And thus this message applies to us also. And the most important verse also, well, we could say the verse 65 finds its natural comment in verse 66. 65, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage to me. Thus you will come to me without fail, I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. And the other one, Sarvadharma Parijaja, as we said, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. And interestingly speaking, at the conclusion of a very nice prayer offered by Lord Brahma to Sri Krishna at the dawn of creation, at the beginning of the universe, there is Brahma, yes, he made a very special offering to Krishna. And this offering is related in a text called Brahma Samhita, which is considered by Vaishnavas as a great saintly text. And at the very conclusion of this Brahma Samhita, Krishna is very happy because he has received, he is satisfied, he's happy about Brahma's attitude. Brahma has given very wonderful prayers, starting by Chinta Mani Prakalasan Masuka Pariksha Laksha Vrete Sesuravira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yes, so there are many verses like this, quoting the strong feelings and the attitude of worship and of awe and reverence of Brahma to Krishna. And having heard these wonderful prayers, all ending with by Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, then Krishna, as a reply, gives a verse which reads like this. Verse 61 of Brahma Samhita. Dharmam anyam parijajya mam ekam bhajavishvasan yadrishi shraddha shidir bhavati tatrishi kurvan nirantaram karma lokoyam anuvartate teinava karmana dhyayam mam param bhaktim ichchati. In which, of course, you recognize the first verses, the first shloka. Dharmam anyam parijajya. So in case we don't understand that we should surrender to Krishna, Krishna says it in all Vedic literatures. You see? We see the same words in Bhagavad Gita and in Brahma Samhita. So please now hear the comment by the Vaishnava Acharyas. Comment by Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami, speaking of Dharma Anya Parijajya, says, this verse explains that one should perform pure sadhana bhakti by practicing without material desires. In other words, to offer prayers to Krishna is one thing, but one should practice sadhana bhakti. It is to say that should practice spiritual life according to rules and regulations. It's not always to be just like a very sentimental person and go to the temple, Haribol, and then after all kind of nonsense throughout the day. No. Tamaham Bhajami is one thing, but also we have to practice every day. Second comment, this time by Bhakti Yoga Maharaj Prabhupada. One verse, Dharman Atya Parityaya. Dharma, characterized by pure bhakti, is the real dharma of the jiva. He is nitya dharma. All other types of dharma are conditional or upadika dharmas. In other words, yes, real dharma is service to Krishna. And dharma means practicing again every day. Third comment, given this time by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. On the verse, Dharmam Anyam Parityaya. The function characterized by unalloyed devotion is a real function of all individual souls, jivas. All other varieties of functions are activities of the external cases. In other words, yes, the nature of the soul is to serve Krishna. This is Dharma. This is religion. Yes. Or the purpose of life is to serve Krishna. And we have to serve Krishna according to the words of Krishna, to the instructions he has given. And the instructions given by Krishna are given through Guru Parampara. This comes back to our verse. The verse we were speaking today, which is on the board, in which it is said that actually this the disciplic succession is a guarantee that the message of God remains pure throughout the ages. And because, for some reason, because unfortunately we are in the material world, unfortunately or fortunately maybe, it depends, but still, we are in the material world, and therefore, for some reason, the message was lost, and therefore, Sri Krishna himself came personally in order to re-establish the principles of religion and to establish a new parampara, a new Guru Parampara, by which the religion given by Krishna himself, the Sanatana Dharma, will be propagated throughout humanity without being, let's say, misinterpreted. So, once I asked my spiritual master, asking him about the list of gurus, which is given at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, and I said, Guru Maharaj, you see, there is a list of gurus here, but according to Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna is starting a new Guru disciplic succession, and the first link of the disciplic succession, the new disciplic succession, is Arjuna. Fine. But Guru Maharaj, sorry, I don't see Arjuna here on the list. So what's going on? So, reply of the Guru, yes, no problem. Disciplic successions has got many branches, and therefore, although you may not find Arjuna on the list given at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, still it is an aspect of the disciplic successions. Disciplic succession actually has many branches, and it spreads all throughout the world and throughout the universe. And sometimes Krishna is giving us very strong hints in our spiritual life, in order to help us to progress, to make some advancements, hopefully, in spiritual life. And last Sunday, Jayananda Maharaj came to me and said, Oh, Bhavasindhu, you said you wanted to have the Srimad Bhagavatam at home. He said, yes, Maharaj. So, why don't you take it now? Oh, yes, Maharaj. You see, I know it's heavy, you cannot take it now, but if you want, we can deliver it to you, to your home tomorrow. And they said, yes, Maharaj. And so, the day after, there is Mahananda Prabhu, nice disciple. He came at home and rang my bell and delivered to me the Srimad Bhagavatam, 18 volumes. I was very happy. But then I looked at the calendar, and it was the very day of the appearance day of my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Yoga Maharaj. So you see, Krishna sometimes is making little transcendental tricks to us in order to make sure that we are on the right way back home, back to Hare. And actually, my Guru Maharaj always said that actually Srila Prabhupada will always say to his disciples that to make advancement in spiritual life, you have to know two books. First, Bhagavad Gita. Yes, the very basic teachings of Krishna Consciousness. And you have to know also, by heart, if possible, the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you know these two scriptures very nicely, the rest is supplementary. Of course, we Vaishnavas will relish stories in the Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures, of course. But for a preacher to know all these two books very nicely is far enough to preach nicely Krishna Consciousness and the nature of the soul to the fallen people of this age. Actually, let's remember that in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 5 topics are described, which is, this is explained by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada right in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. The first topic is Ishvara, Krishna. The second topic of Bhagavad Gita is Jiva, Jivatma, spiritual souls. Number 3 is spiritual nature, Prakriti. Number 4 is Kala, eternal time. And number 5 is Karma, the law of action and reactions. And we may add to all this a special crown on all this, because Ishvara, of course, is Bhagavan Krishna. Yes, the very first topic of Bhagavad Gita. But Ishvara without Lord Krishna, without Radharani, without Bhakti, we feel that there is something missing. Yes, Krishna cannot be separated from his internal potency, Srimati Radharani, which is the incarnation, the representation, the fulfillment of Bhakti. Yes, and Bhakti, yes, Bhakti is a crown, you can say, on the 5 topics that we have mentioned before, and especially it is a crown on Krishna's lotus head. Yes. So now, let's all of us pray to have the mercy of Sri Guru and Guru Dev, of our eternal Guru Srila Prabhupada, and to pray to have the special mercy of at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, in order to preach nicely Bhagavad Gita, and hopefully go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Very good.
You have any questions or comments, Prabhu, please? Mataji, Mother.
Merci pour ta classe. Est-ce que la couronne qui est près de Radharaman, tu as dit que la couronne de Krishna, c'était Srimati Radharani. Dans certains temples, il y a une moitié de Krishna, et à côté, il y a une couronne qui représente Srimati Radharani. Qui est Srimati Radharani?
Oh, très bien.
Alors peut-être c'est relié.
Ah, j'ignorais ce point, mais je te remercie de cette remarque, Mataji. Gamandari Mataji, oui, je ne savais pas, mais bon, écoute, oui, sûrement, c'est une remarque très pertinente en tout cas, ben voilà, qui ne fait qu'illustrer notre sujet. Allez, Krishna. Voilà. Other comments? Questions? Jananda Maharaj asked me to make it quite short today, in order to help the preachers to preach the glories of Sri Krishna and the glories of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Sankirtan, book distribution ki jai. Go permanently. Hare Hare Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.